March 18, 2026, 11:47 p.m. Korean Demilitarized Zone. 6 Navy SEALs cross the most heavily fortified border in the world, not through tunnels, not via the coast, directly across the DMZ, through minefields, through sensor fields, through kill zones designed to stop exactly this kind of incursion. They move in absolute darkness. No lights, no sound, just infrared markers and GPS coordinates guiding them toward objective 15 miles inside North Korea. A CIA asset, deep cover operative who's been compromised, who needs emergency extraction, who has intelligence worth risking war, worth risking 6 American lives, worth crossing border that hasn't been violated by American military since 1953. 73 years of armistice, 73 years of frozen conflict, about to be broken by 6 SEALs who have 4 hours to cross into North Korea, locate the agent, extract back across DMZ, before dawn reveals them, before North Korean military discovers incursion, before international incident becomes war. And what happens in those 4 hours will involve firefight in North Korean border town, fighting retreat under enemy fire, desperate race back to DMZ with compromised agent, and revelation of why this operative was worth risking everything, worth violating sovereignty of nuclear-armed dictatorship, worth crossing line that Pentagon swore would never be crossed again. Because what the agent knows changes everything about North Korean nuclear program, about their capabilities, about their intentions, about threats they pose. Information worth 1 night, worth 4 hours, worth 6 SEALs, worth whatever consequences follow. The numbers are absurd. 6 SEALs against entire North Korean military, against nation of 26 million people, against army of 1.3 million soldiers, against border security system that's detected and killed dozens of infiltrators, against surveillance technology designed specifically to prevent exactly this operation. The tactical situation is impossible. The strategic risk is catastrophic. If SEALs are captured, North Korea has American prisoners, has propaganda victory, has justification for anything. If SEALs are killed, America lost elite operators conducting illegal incursion, has diplomatic crisis, has military escalation, has potential war. But if mission succeeds, America gets intelligence that prevents nuclear threat. That saves millions of lives. That justifies every risk, every violation, every consequence. That's calculus of extraction. That's decision made at highest levels. That's mission approved by President, by Secretary of Defense, by everyone who understood stakes, who knew risks, who accepted that sometimes rules must be broken, sometimes borders must be crossed, sometimes impossible missions must be attempted, because alternative is worse. Because intelligence matters more than sovereignty. Because one agent's knowledge is worth more than diplomatic niceties. That's why 6 SEALs are crossing DMZ. That's why they're violating armistice. That's why they're risking everything. For agent they've never met. For intelligence they haven't seen. For mission they barely understand. Just trust that it matters. That it's worth it, that someone made right decision, and they'll execute perfectly, or die trying. Stay with me, because what happens during those 4 hours reveals more than just extraction tactics, reveals what the agent discovered, and why North Korea was so desperate to prevent escape that they're willing to start firefight at DMZ. Willing to violate armistice themselves, willing to kill Americans to protect secret the agent knows. Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison commanded the SEAL team. SEAL Team 6, Naval Special Warfare Development Group, most elite unit in American military, 18 years Navy, 12 years SEALs. This was his most dangerous mission, not because of combat, because of politics, because crossing into North Korea meant violating every international norm, meant risking war, meant consequences beyond mission success or failure. But mission was authorized. Asset needed extraction. Intelligence was critical. Morrison's job was execution, not policy, not politics. Just get in, get agent, get out, before anyone knows Americans were there. That's impossible mission. That's 4-hour window. That's what Morrison accepted when he briefed his team, when he explained stakes, when he told them they're crossing, that they're risking war for one person, that they're trusting someone decided this was worth it. His team didn't question, didn't hesitate, just prepared, just trained, just waited for go, order that came 12 hours earlier. Asset is compromised, extraction authorized, execute immediately. That's all Morrison needed. That's all SEALs ever need. Mission. Timeline. Go. At 11:47 p.m., Morrison's team crossed into DMZ, South Korean side. Sensors were temporarily disabled. Guards were informed. Coordination was perfect. Americans crossing south to north, into DMZ, into no man's land. 2 miles of minefields and sensors and death. First obstacle was minefields, laid by both sides. Millions of mines, scattered randomly, pressure triggered, anti-personnel, anti-vehicle, designed to kill anyone crossing. SEALs had mine detectors, had maps from decades of intelligence, had routes marked by sensors and satellites, had path that should be clear, should be, not guaranteed, not certain, just best available intelligence. Morrison led. His team followed single file, each step calculated, each movement deliberate, crossing minefield in darkness, trusting maps, trusting intelligence, trusting luck. 20 minutes to cross 2 miles, 20 minutes where any step could be last, could trigger mine, could kill, could alert North Koreans, could end mission before it started. Morrison's team crossed successfully. All 6. No mines, no sensors triggered. First obstacle defeated. Next was fence. North Korean border fence. 20 feet tall. Electrified. Sensor equipped. Camera monitored. SEALs cut through in 90 seconds. Specialized equipment. Training. Speed. Through the fence. Into North Korea. First American military crossing since 1953. First violation of armistice in 73 years. Now there's no turning back. Now they're committed. Now they're in enemy territory. Now everything depends on speed, stealth, execution. At 12:34 a.m., 47 minutes after crossing DMZ, Morrison's team reached the border town. Small, maybe 2,000 residents, military checkpoint, barracks, guard posts, and somewhere in this town, CIA asset, codename Falcon, deep cover for 3 years, now compromised, now hiding, now waiting for extraction that might never come. Morrison had coordinates. Safe house, 3-story building, eastern edge of town. Team moved through shadows, avoiding patrols, avoiding lights, avoiding detection. Reached the building, entered, found Falcon, Korean man, mid-40s, terrified, injured, leg wound, from escaping capture attempt 6 hours earlier. He couldn't walk well, couldn't run. Extraction just became harder. Morrison assessed. "Can you move?" Falcon nodded. "I can move, but not fast. They know I'm gone. They're searching. We don't have much time." Morrison made decision. "We carry you. We move now. Stay quiet. Follow our lead." Falcon agreed. SEALs prepared for extraction, but at 6 North Korean soldiers, 30 yards away, everyone froze. Soldiers saw movement, raised weapons, shouted. Morrison had 1 second to decide: surrender and capture, fight and alert garrison, or run and hope soldiers don't shoot. He chose fight. Engage. Suppressed fire. Move to rally point. SEALs fired. Suppressed weapons. Whisper quiet, but not silent. Soldiers dropped, but one got shot off. Single round, echoing through town. Alerts sounded. Garrison activated. Lights came on. Soldiers poured from barracks. Extraction became combat operation, became fighting retreat, became desperate race back to DMZ. At 1:15 a.m., Morrison's team was running, carrying Falcon between 2 SEALs, other 4 providing rear security. North Korean soldiers pursuing, maybe 50, armed, organized, angry, shooting, chasing, calling for reinforcements. Morrison's team couldn't outrun them, couldn't lose them, could only fight rearguard action. Move, shoot, move, shoot. Slow but steady retreat toward DMZ. 12 miles to safety. 3 hours until dawn. 50 enemies behind. More ahead if reinforcements arrive. Ammunition limited. SEAL load for infiltration. 7 magazines per man. 210 rounds. But sustained firefight depletes fast. Morrison calculated 12 miles, 50 enemies, maybe 3 hours. Maybe. If everything went perfect. If no more enemies arrived. If ammunition lasted. If dawn didn't reveal them. If. Too many ifs. But no choice. Just move. Just fight. Just survive. Just get Falcon home. That's mission. That's priority. That's what Morrison focused on. Not ifs, not maybes. Just next mile. Next firefight. Next decision. At 2:30 a.m., Morrison's team was 6 miles from DMZ. Halfway. But ammunition was concerning. 3 magazines per SEAL. 90 rounds. 6 more miles. More enemies arriving. North Korean military was mobilizing. Helicopters in air. Troops on roads. Searchlights sweeping. This wasn't quiet extraction anymore. This was full-scale manhunt. This was North Korea trying to capture or kill American SEALs before they escaped. This was risking everything to prove Americans violated border, to create international incident, to have prisoners, to have propaganda. Morrison understood that North Korea wanted this as much as America wanted Falcon, wanted proof of incursion, wanted American prisoners, wanted justification for whatever they'd do next. That's why they were pushing so hard. Not just catching spies, catching American military. That's prize. That's goal. That's why 50 soldiers had become 200. That's why helicopters were searching. That's why this was not just mission. Morrison had to reach DMZ before caught, before overwhelmed, before ammunition ran out. 3 miles from safety. 2 hours until dawn. 200 enemies. 3 magazines. Math wasn't working. Math said they'd die. Morrison refused that math. At 3:45 a.m., Morrison's team was 1 mile from DMZ, but North Korean forces had positioned ahead, blocking approach to border, creating final obstacle. Final fight. Morrison couldn't go around, couldn't wait, couldn't retreat, could only attack, break through, force passage. Final desperate assault. 6 SEALs against 20 North Koreans, between them and safety. Morrison ordered it. Final push, full auto, maximum aggression. Break through or die here. His team acknowledged, fixed bayonets, checked magazines, prepared for close combat, for violence, for whatever it took. Then charged. 6 Americans against 20 North Koreans. Point-blank firefight. Grenades, gunfire, bayonets. Brutal, vicious, desperate. Morrison's team broke through. 12 North Koreans dead, 8 fled. But cost was high. 2 SEALs wounded, both walking, both fighting. Everyone depleted, everyone exhausted. But through, at DMZ, at border fence, at safety. Final obstacle. Cut through fence, cross minefield, reach South Korean side. That's all. That's everything. That's final 200 yards and safety. Morrison's team moved through fence, into DMZ, following marked path, through minefield. North Koreans pursuing, shooting, but not crossing, not following into DMZ, not violating armistice themselves, just shooting from border, harassing, hoping lucky shot, hoping mine, hoping something stopped Americans before safety. Nothing did. Morrison's team crossed. All 6 SEALs, 1 agent, 2 wounded. Everyone alive, everyone across, everyone safe. Mission complete. But now consequences begin. Now politics start. Now questions asked. Now explanations required. But tonight, mission succeeded. Falcon extracted. Intelligence secured. SEALs survived. That's all that matters. Everything else is someone else's problem. But here's what Falcon's intelligence revealed. Here's why extraction was worth risking war. Here's what North Korea was hiding, and why discovering it justified violating 73 years of armistice. Falcon had discovered North Korean nuclear program was more advanced than anyone knew. Not years from weapons, months. Not developing missiles, already testing. Not planning threats, executing them. Falcon had evidence, documents, photos, proof that North Korea had miniaturized warheads, had operational missiles, had targeting systems, had capability to strike American cities. Not theoretical, actual, imminent, within months. Unless stopped, unless intelligence prevented it, unless someone acted. That's why extraction mattered. That's why mission was authorized. That's why 6 SEALs crossed DMZ. Not for 1 agent, for millions of lives, for preventing nuclear attack, for stopping threat before unstoppable. Falcon's intelligence led to diplomatic pressure, to sanctions, to international action, to North Korea backing down, delaying program, accepting inspections, not from choice, from being caught, from having secrets exposed, from Falcon's intelligence removing their surprise, their advantage, their timeline. That's what 4 hours accomplished. That's what mission achieved. Not just extraction, prevention, protection, peace through intelligence, through risk, through 6 SEALs who crossed border that shouldn't be crossed, through violation that prevented worse violation, through mission that broke rules to prevent catastrophe. That's March 18th, 2026. That's first American military crossing into North Korea since 1953. That's 4 hours that prevented nuclear crisis. That's everything. Lieutenant Commander Morrison received Navy Cross. His team received Silver Stars. Falcon received new identity, new life, relocated, protected, rewarded. Mission was classified for 5 years. then revealed as example of when rules must be broken, when violations are justified, when crossing lines prevents disasters. That's covert operations. That's why SEALs exist. Not for conventional warfare, for impossible missions, for operations that risk everything for goals that matter more. For 4 hours in North Korea that prevented potential millions of deaths. That's return on investment. That's justification for risk. That's why Morrison said yes, why his team followed, why mission succeeded. Not luck, training, skill, determination, refusal to fail when failure meant catastrophe. Success meant prevention. That's SEAL ethos. That's Special Operations purpose. That's what March 18th proved. That some missions are worth any risk, worth violating any rule, worth accepting any consequence. Because preventing nuclear attack matters more than diplomatic niceties, matters more than sovereignty, matters more than everything except lives saved by prevention, by intelligence, by one agent's courage and 6 SEALs' commitment, and 4 hours of hell that changed everything forever.